I promised many of you that the final Mia's Mock Draft Monday would feature running back Ashton Genty. I promised others that this final installment would feature the likes of an offensive lineman like Will Campbell or Armand Membu. But I'm doubling down. In 5 years of doing Mia's Mock Draft Mondays, I have never once picked the same player in 2 mock drafts. That ends today. From what I've heard from the folks up in Ann Arbor, to matching the needs that have been expressed here in Jacksonville for the first ever draft selection by James Gladstone and Liam Cohen, Mason Graham checks all the boxes. It may not be the pretty, sparkling selection that so many of you want, but many of you also clamored this time a year ago for a lunch pail, blue-collar lineman. That is who Mason Graham is. And besides, a trade back into the first round is kind of sparkly, right? Yes, after selecting Graham, I have the Jaguars trading up from number 36 to number 30 in order to select Emeka Ekbuka, wide receiver, Ohio State. You heard head coach Liam Cohen say it at last week's press conference. The top of this year's wide receiver class isn't really sparkly. There's that word again. But there's a definitive group of wide receivers with inside-outside versatility that are projected to go somewhere between picks 12 and number 45-ish. And Ekbuka is firmly at the top of that grouping. Not to mention his championship pedigree and how diligent he is as a worker each and every day. As I have said for weeks, I believe the Jaguars will come away from day 2 of the draft with not 1, but 2 defensive linemen. And in this week's installment, that second lineman is Braden Swinson, edge LSU. 8.5 sacks and 13 tackles for loss this season, despite a ceiling that's yet to be reached, and traits for days. With their second, third round pick in this week's mock draft, the Jaguars maximize their lone offensive line selection with a player who has guard tackle versatility and a mean streak to go along with a wrestling background. West Virginia's Wyatt Milam. Where will Milam play along a crowded offensive line? What direction do the Jaguars go on day 3? Find out in the final installment of Mia's Mock Draft Mondays on 1010XL.com.